Hey guys, how are you today?
Hello.
This is Mr. G, for those of you who haven't met him. How are you doing today, Mr. G?
I'm doing good. How are you all doing?
So, I am outside on my front porch right now, and I'm getting ready to read y'all the next chapter of Junie B. But I want to show you something that I did this weekend that I'm super proud of myself for. I'll have to turn it around. I planted those azaleas right there. Don't they look so pretty? I'm so excited. Hope I can keep them alive because I don't do the best with keeping plants alive. Okay, so I'm going to read y'all the next chapter of Junie B. Let me scoot back a little bit. Outside today because it's a nice day outside, and part of the e-learning spirit week activity today is to read or do something outside. So I'm going to read this to you outside today. So we have read through 4 chapters of Junie B so far. Junie B, Toothless Wonder is what we're reading right now. Chapter 4 we read yesterday. It was called Freako. Junie B's tooth fell out, and she was, in the beginning of the chapter, she was so worried about her tooth coming out and looking like Uncle Lou. She hated that her tooth came out. But her grandpa Frank helped her to feel better about it, and by the end, she couldn't stop staring at herself in the mirror because she thought she looked so cute. So today we're going to read through chapter 5 called The Fairy. So I think this chapter is going to be where we finally get to hear what happens with the Tooth Fairy. That night we had festivities. Festivities is when my grandpa and grandma come over and all of us eat cake. Grandma Helen Miller made the cake herself. She put a big smiley face on the top. Only that is not all, because the smiley face had a missing tooth, just like me. I laughed and laughed at that silly thing. Then I reached in my pocket and I got my tooth and I passed it all around the table. "Oh, that's a beaut, Junie B," said Grandma Miller. "I know it, Grandma. I know it's a beaut," I said real proud. "I can't wait to take it to school for show and tell. The children are going to love this thing." Daddy looked strange at me. "Oh, gee, I don't know, honey," he said. "I'm not really sure you should take your tooth to school." Mother shook her head. "No, Junie B, that's definitely not a good idea," she said. "And besides, you won't even have your tooth on Monday, remember? You have to leave it for the Tooth Fairy tonight." Just then, my skin got chill bumps, and the flutterflies came back in my stomach. "'Cause I know stuff about the fairy, that's why." I wonder what stuff she knows. My voice felt kind of shaky. "Yeah, only what if I don't want to leave my tooth for the fairy, Mother?" I said. "What if I just want to take it to show and tell, and that's all?" Mother shook her head again. "No, Junie B, no show and tell," she said. "Taking a tooth to show and tell is it's just disgusting," said Daddy. "Yes, Mother, disgusting." I whined at those two. "No, it isn't," I said. "Lots of kids bring their teeth to school, because one time Roger brought a shark's tooth, and he even let me and Herb put it right in our mouths, and then we looked like sharks too." I thought some more. "Plus, another time Shirley brought her grandmother's dentures, and lots of us put those in our mouths too." Grandma Miller did a little gag. Only I don't actually know why. My grandpa patted her hand. "Just be glad she doesn't want to take the spit cup," he whispered. Just then my whole face lighted up, 'cause I have ears like a hawk, of course. The spit cup! The spit cup! I will take the spit cup," I hollered. Ew. I jumped down from my chair and I zoomed to the bathroom. Then I got the spit cup out of the trash and I dusted it off real good. "Good news, people," I shouted real loud. "There's still some blood around the edges." I quick ran back to show them. If Junie B were in my class and she wanted to bring her spit cup with blood on the edge, I would say, no way. Grandma Miller closed her eyes at that sight. Then Mother put her head on the table and hid her face in her arms. The festivities were over, I believe. After Grandma and Grandpa Miller left, Mother took me into the bathroom and we brushed my teeth real careful. Then I took my loose tooth out of my pocket and I brushed that guy too. I held it up to the light. "Look," I said, "look how shiny I made it. I really wish I could take this tooth to school, Mother. I really wish that with all my might." Mother gave me a hug. "I know you do, Junie B," she said, "but it's still going to be fun to put it under your pillow tonight, isn't it?" She smiled. I remember when I was a little girl, I couldn't wait to wake up in the morning and find out how much money the Tooth Fairy had left me. My skin got all prickly at that name again. Also, sweaty came on my head. And I thought about what to do. Then finally, I stood on my tiptoes and I whispered in Mother's ear. "Yeah, only I know stuff about the fairy, Mother, I said. I know the truth. Uh-oh. What's the truth? Mother looked shocked at me. The truth, she said. You know the truth? Yes, I whispered again. I know the exact truth, Mother. 'Cause last year, Polly Allen Puffer told me the whole entire story. I took another deep breath. Then I cupped my hands around her ear and I talked even quieter. The Tooth Fairy isn't real, I said. The Tooth Fairy is just pretend. Mother's eyes got big and wide at me. No, she said. Yes, I whispered back. Polly Allen learned it from his big brother. The Tooth Fairy isn't a fairy at all. She's actually a teensy little tooth witch. Mother's mouth came all the way open. A tooth witch? This is a quick picture of Junie B telling her mom all about how she thinks it's not a tooth fairy, but it's a tooth witch. Shh, I said, we have to talk soft, Mother. If the tooth witch hears anyone telling her secret, she flies into their room at night and she pinches their cheeks. Mother covered her face with her hands. She was in shock, I believe. Polly Allen's brother even saw the tooth witch, I said, because one night he put a tooth under his pillow and then he stayed awake all night. And he saw the tooth witch fly into his room on a teensy little toothbrush. Oh my, said Mother. I know, it is oh my, I said, and that's not even the worstest part, 'cause the witch walked right under his pillow and she carried out his tooth, and then she chomped a big bite out of it, just like it was a little tooth apple. Mother made a noise behind her hands. I patted her very nice. I know how you feel, I said. This is very hard to hear. Finally, Mother took her hands away. But it doesn't really make sense, Junie B, she said. I mean, why would a mean little witch leave money under the pillow? A witch would never do something that nice, would she? I rolled my eyes all the way up to the ceiling, because sometimes I have to explain everything to her. Of course she would, Mother. Don't you get it? The witch leaves money so that children think she's really a fairy. Because if children don't think there's a fairy, they won't leave their teeth, right? And if they don't leave their teeth, the witch won't get any tooth apples. Mother closed her eyes very tight. Then all of a sudden, she opened the bathroom door and she ran right out of the room. She was taking it harder than I thought. And that is the end of chapter 5. Tomorrow we will read chapter 6, called Full of Soup. Okay, so in this book, in this chapter, chapter 5 that we read today, called The Fairy, we learn that Junie B does not actually believe in the Tooth Fairy. She thinks that instead of a tooth fairy, it's a teeny little tooth witch who comes and eats kids' teeth. What in the world? That's crazy. I want to know what you guys think about that. Do you think that the tooth fairy or the tooth witch is more interesting? Which one do you think is the more interesting one? Which one do you think is cooler? That's kind of what the activity you're going to be doing today with this chapter is. I want you to draw a picture of the one that you think is the most interesting and tell me something about that you think is the most interesting. So like if you think the tooth witch is the most interesting, draw me a picture of what you think the tooth witch looks like and tell me what you think is interesting about it. Or if you like the tooth fairy more, draw a picture of a tooth fairy and tell me what you like about the tooth fairy, what you think is interesting, or what you think in general about the tooth fairy or the tooth witch. So I'm going to post that here. You can just draw a picture of it on a piece of paper, whatever works best for you. I'm also going to post it in Seesaw, so you can use the drawing tool in Seesaw to do that. But y'all did a great job listening to this story. I can't wait to see what you think about either the tooth fairy or the tooth witch.